So again, welcome to today's AIT Masterclass. This is the hands-on workshop plus the scripting. Just to reintroduce myself to anyone who's new here, my name is Maera. I'm part of the customer success team here at Atera, and I do a lot of these AIT webinars. Today, I'm joined by Sarah and Paz, my two colleagues from the CS team. Like I mentioned, they'll be answering any of your questions, so feel free to interact with them in the Q&A section. What's on the agenda for today? So we have our series intro, we have our Atera AIT brief, we have a setup brief, we have some simulations, which are including some new features and functionality that we have in the AI, as well as Q&A, plus, scripting is included in those simulations. So as some of you will know, and for anyone who's new and joining the series for the first time, we usually have our AIT Masterclass series broken up into two parts. So on Tuesday, we had the intro, which is more explaining, where Atera stands with AI, positioning us as AIT leaders. And then we have the hands-on workshop today, where we actually get into the platform and do more of the hands-on demo and functionality. So that's today's session. And again, like I said, scripting included. Just taking a look at Atera as an all-in-one AIT-powered platform, what does that look like for you guys, and what does that look like for us as a company? So, of course, in terms of our AI functionality, we have the autopilot and the copilot. And just as a refresher for anyone who's new, the autopilot is our end-user facing functionality of the AI, whereas the copilot is the technician-assisted portion. We're servicing Windows, Linux, and Mac devices, and we have a whole bunch of different verticals where we operate. Of course, one of the big ones, RMM, remote monitoring and management. We have our PSA side, our help desk and ticketing. We have the network monitoring. We have BI and analytics, and of course, our amazing App Center. We're hosting our AI in Microsoft Azure. We're partners with them, and we work very closely to get the earliest features, upgrade as soon as possible, and really work with their dev team to get the full value out of OpenAI. We're classified as an enterprise grade platform, and we offer security and compliance. We recently got our SOC 2 certification, so if anyone needs that, you're welcome to chat to our support team about that, or reach out to your customer success manager, and of course data analysis as well. Sorry guys, have a little screen freeze there. Perfect. Okay. We're just looking at some top 5 time-consuming requests or issues that we know from speaking to people in the industry, the data that we manage within Atera and understanding the nature of the work that you guys do. Some of the top 5 issues that continuously come up. 26% report access and permission issues, 24% email, 21% hardware, so printers, scanners, telephones, and others. I know printer is a big one, so I'm sure some of you are nodding your head at that one. 16% software, and then 13% performance and connectivity. Okay, so now we're going to get started in the platform. I'm going to move over to my Atera demo account, and we're going to get started. Before we do, I just want to check if there's any questions that need to be answered, or if anyone has anything they want me to discuss before we move on. Okay, so let me just see. I see Sean here has mentioned that you signed up for the webinar earlier this week and you were traveling as a way to get that video. Yes, all of these webinars are recorded and put on our on-demand webinar page. I can send you the link for that, so you'll be able to watch that. And then Jeff says, is it going to apply only to those that have the designer version? I think you mean the design partner version. So you all, by being here, should have access to the autopilot and the copilot. And if you don't, like I mentioned, just put in the chat your email address that's associated with Atera so we can add you in. And then you should be able to follow along. Like I said, if you're not able to do that today, no worries. You'll be able to get the access afterwards and test it out. Okay, I think that's enough of the questions on that front. I'll continue over here. So the first thing we're going to be looking at is, like I mentioned, some new functionality within our AI, and it's going to be the Copilot for devices. So for those who have been at these webinars before, or for those who have tried out the AI, you'll have noticed that we have our Copilot for ticketing, where you're able to get the summarize and solve. You're able to generate a solution, generate a resolution, and also generate a response. If you need to generate a script from that flow, all of those good things. We now have that functionality for devices. So I'm going to stop sharing this page and share my Atera demo account. Okay, I'm just checking that you guys can see it. Yes. Okay, great. So again, for anyone who's brand new, who maybe hasn't used Atera before, just obviously as an overview, this is the main dashboard as where you as a technician would come every day. You can see that the latest updates regarding your account and where everything stands. If I wanted to see, let's say, like I said, the devices Copilot, I'm going to click over here, and you'll see we now have a column for AI, which wasn't there before. I'm going to just take this random desktop that's available to me on our demo account. Whoops. I wanted to actually click the AI. I'm going to open the Copilot for it. So you'll see here we have some troubleshoot presets that you can already make use of. And these are all really robust and tested and work really nicely. These are just some ideas to help get you started and show you what you can do. If maybe you're like, I want to use the Copilot for devices, I'm not sure where to even begin, this is for you. And just as a reminder, of course, the Copilot is the technician facing part of our AI. So it's there to really help you guys as technicians. And also, maybe you have new members of your team who are still kind of getting the feel of Atera and figuring everything out. This can help them as well. This one I really like, what installed printers are on this device. I'm sure a lot of you who have issues with printers or maybe are managing multiple devices, or you have, let's say, a device that's connected to multiple printers on different floors, that kind of thing. Also, what can I do to make this device more secure? Whole bunch of different stuff you can do here. I'm going to start off with this one. What's the CPU usage and top 5 running processes or top running processes? I'm expecting it usually gives me around 5. And how can I optimize? This one, I mean, you guys can probably vouch for it more than I can, but I know that this is a really important process, and a lot of technicians want to know what's the CPU usage, see what's taking up the most usage and energy from your device, and how you can, best optimize that. Something I will mention here is the AI does take a little bit of time to generate these answers. Um, for you guys to know, it's not a bot that will just spit out like an automated answer. We actually have the agent on this device running, scanning, doing all the tests and checks and balances, and then providing the AI with answers, with updates. So it does take a little bit of time. That being said, we're also in the process of moving to OpenAI 4. So it is going to get even faster, but just for you to know, we're not expecting it to be instantaneous because we want it to take the time to do the checks, to do the balances, and really scan the device properly. Like I mentioned, we will improve that, but just for you to know, this is not unexpected, that it does take a little bit of time. Okay, so in this case, it's for some reason that the CPU usage and top 5 processes gave a timeout. So something took too long here, was stopped. But it's also giving us another option of how to optimize the CPU usage. And we can consider the following actions. For me, I would like to see something else. So I'm going to close this for the meantime and try this again, maybe for a different PC. Let's see if this one will work. Let's take this, what can I do to make this device more secure as an example. Great. So now we're back on. So again, like I said, the device is actively being scanned by the agent, which then provides information to the AI. So here we have some software security suggestions. So um, we can see that let's say our software security that we're using is active and updated. So far this looks good. Let's see if there's any OS updates that we have. And while this is loading, I would just love to see in the chat. I'm curious, is this something that you guys would use and find beneficial? And maybe what kind of prompts would you like to ask? Just so I can kind of understand what everyone's needs are and what's the feel of the room. Feel free to write that in the chat. Okay, for some reason this wasn't completed. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, great. So we did get an answer, which is based on the completed software security check, the device is currently protected by active and updated AV and firewall solutions. Great. However, the OS update times checked out. Okay, so this is something we're actively working on and refining. This was working perfectly earlier, but classic as IT is, gets a little bit shy when we have a webinar. Something else you'll also notice here, which is new and really, coming out soon to customers, which I'm excited to share, is also linking the KB articles from Atera. So again, like I mentioned, the Copilot is a technician-assisted mechanism. So once you have an answer from the AI, if there's anything else that you need to check further, you have the option to see the KB as well. I want to see, it's not sharing that. Hold on one moment. I'm going to stop sharing and restart. Just a minute for me over here. So we'll see here that if I now go back into, let's just check that it's perfect. If I have to go back into the Copilot over here where I have the suggested KB article and I click onto it, you'll see here these are articles that are related to the answers that were given to me by the Copilot. So if, for instance, I'm asking about, let's say, threshold profiles or something about connecting printers or scanning OIDs, those kind of KB articles will be linked, and it really, again, helps you as a technician. You get the summary and the short version of the answer from the Copilot, and then you get any additional information you need from our KBs as well. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute and just reshare the screen. Let's see. Okay, great. That's working. Perfect. So next up, we have the Copilot for alerts. So same kind of thought process behind it, but again, now you're able to, let's say, recheck alerts. You can ask the Copilot to give you an update, to run the alert again, etc. So I'm going to move out of the Copilot for the devices and move into the Copilot for alerts. Let's see. I'm going to take this one. I think this will probably be a good one. Disk usage. So we can see here that, of course, this is the device that it's attached to and it's online. And now we're going to have the Copilot analyze this specific alert for disk usage. Great. So we can see here, based on the alert triggered for disk usage being significantly higher than the configured threshold, it's essential to address this to prevent potential performance issues. And here are our recommendations. Great. So it gives us the prognosis as well as what we can do or recommended steps to take. If I wanted to actually install a CCleaner, I could do that, and that would be then prompted on the actual device itself. That's where the signal gets sent to. And again, here we have options from the KBs. So another option, maybe one of the things here was using a script, and you get the shared script library option to review in the KBs, which is great. Something I will also mention to you guys, if you want to be active participants and real design partners for us and help us refine the AI as best as we can, you'll see here that you have the option for good job or not what I needed. And that helps us, let's say we collect that data and we process that internally, and then that really makes us figure out, is the AI understanding the question at hand? Is it running the best reports that it can? Is it running the best checks? Is it giving the answers it needs? So that's for us to use. So if you want to, assist us and continue to make it better, feel free to give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Don't be shy. I'm going to take another one. I think I'm going to take this CPU load as my next one, and let's see, hopefully we get a better answer than the previous CPU load. And again, as I mentioned, we don't expect the AI to be instant. We know it's going to take a little bit of time as it's actively scanning the specific device. I'm going to address some questions in the meantime. I see Jeff wrote, are those on this call able to join the design program or is it still closed? Jeff, if you're interested, please send me, or anyone who's interested, please send me an email. I'll write my email in the chat, maera@atera.com. Currently now it's closed, but we're adding anyone who's interested to a waiting list. And we're going to be working on, let's say, adding and updating that process and hopefully getting new people on. That being said, I will just make clear for anyone who wants to be a design partner, we need you to be an active participant in that. So if you want to be a design partner, we're so happy to get that started, of course, when the time comes, but we want to get your feedback. So if you're interested, I will write my email in the chat and you're welcome to send me an email about becoming a design partner and we can add you to the waitlist. Okay, great. Let's see what we get. So it says, based on the alert triggered and the check status, it seems we encountered a timeout. Okay, so we need to have a look at this timeout recurring situation over here. I'll take that with our team. But just for you to see, even still given that, we do get some information that does really help us understand the nature of what's going on and how we can fix it. So of course, obviously some troubleshooting. First, consider restarting the machine. If the issue persists, use retrieve CPU processes from the shared script library. You can see here we also have another KB that's specific to high CPU usage within Atera, so that's great. Adjust the CPU load threshold if necessary, and these steps should help. Okay, so like I said, we still get some kind of functionality from that. Sounds good. And maybe I'll try one more with this, and then we can move on to the next section. So in this case, we're looking at the memory usage, and let's see what we get as an answer over here. While that's loading, I'll also double check the chat for any additional comments. Bill, thanks so much for your comment in the chat. I can see you said as many have the same question. The Copilot feature shown here is only available for design partners. Yes, I think I did mention this earlier that this is coming soon to customers. I'm allowed to share it now, but it's not fully available just yet. But this is something that's coming and in the works, and I'm able to show it and share it with you guys. I think it was supposed to be open for those that are on this call. I'll double check, but I think I did mention in the beginning that it is something that's in the works and coming. But all the other AI features that are available just on a regular basis, you guys should have access to. Okay, so this one's taking a little bit more time, but again, like I said, we know that it does take a bit of time because of the active scanning, as well as we're moving our architecture up. Okay, so let's see. So it's saying here the high memory usage is primarily due to Google Chrome Helper. Great, so it's actually identified a problem. It's a common issue when Chrome has too many tabs or extensions running at the same time. I don't know who's guilty of that, but I may put myself in that situation. Consider closing unnecessary tabs in Google Chrome or disabling or removing unneeded extensions to reduce memory usage. Great, and if the issue still persists, you could apply our auto healing script to manage high memory usage alerts. Great, cool. And we have here the option to clean edge cache as well as referring back to auto healing scripts if you need any. Again, like I said, really assisting you as a technician be more efficient and giving you the insight, but also the steps that you can take. Perfect. So the next thing I want to show you guys, scenario number 3 is going to be on creating a KB from a ticket. If, for instance, you have solved or resolved a ticket from a customer and you think, you know what, this is a really good use case for a KB where in future end users or customers can resolve the issue on their own. Let's create a KB. I know a lot of you don't have the time to sit and make the documentation, but this should hopefully help. Something else before we continue, I'll just mention, I know this actually came up in the other session. I'm currently in the internal IT version of the platform. We also obviously have the MSP version. They're just slightly different. So if, for instance, you're seeing here for me sites and you would have customers, it's all the same. The functionality is the same. It's just, of course, geared specifically to the needs of internal IT teams and MSPs. But in terms of the AI functionality that would be available to you, it's all the same. So don't worry about that. Okay, so the ticket to KB flow would look something like this. It would need to be, hold on, a resolved or closed ticket. So I'm going to change this. Great, we already have that view. And there was a specific ticket I liked here that I'm going to look for. I think it was this one. So here you can see that this ticket has been resolved. And also on the bottom, just a little bit scroll down over here, we see generate article. Let's see what we get out of this one. I just want to see if it's sharing. Nope, I need to just reshare that. One moment. Okay, you should be able to see this now. So if I click generate article, this is the second tab that's opened. Oh, yes, and now you'll see here immediately this is what pops up. So it gives us how to prevent Slack from launching at startup on Windows. It's already taken this issue from, or it's already, let's say, translated the issue from this ticket into a KB article, automatically does the formatting, which of course you can change, but really gives you a good basis to come in and edit it as you wish. And here you can see it's really broken it down very simply. If you wanted to create, it would automatically create the rest of it for you. You can add priority, anything else that's relevant, what to display in the section, etc. I want to try another one. So I'm going to close this for a minute and go here. I'm going to go back to my tickets. This is the one I wanted to show you. An iPhone wipe request. Again, you can use this in any kind of context that you have, but it's a really good example to show you. You'll see here there was a conversation with the AI. So basically, it was this end user having a chat with the autopilot, and it was escalated to a ticket. And now we have it, let's say, in the tickets here that have been closed. I'm going to generate an article. Can see here it loads, and then we have a ticket. So how to wipe the iPhone. This is a really interesting use case, let's say, for end users. So for those who are internal, let's say, IT departments and need to set something up like this for your end users, but also for MSPs. I mean, again, the context would just differ slightly depending on what you need, but I'm sure you guys can see the value in this. And it really does come out really nicely in terms of format and visuals, and you can kind of customize it as you need. I'm going to stop sharing for just a minute. I just want to come into back into the webinar and see if there's any questions or any concerns. I'll also love to hear some feedback from you guys. Usually we have a very interactive group. I know we do have that today. So if you want to share any comments about what I've just demonstrated, if that's interesting to you guys, if it's things you would use, and maybe any of the prompts that you would like to ask it, feel free to write that in the chat. I'm expecting some of our recurring participants, our frequent guests, to send something for us and give us some feedback. In the meantime, I'm going to be moving over to the scripting part of the webinar. Okay, let's just make sure this is sharing. Great. Okay, great. Paul has a wonderful comment. Techies are not the best at doing KBs. This is a game changer. Paul, I agree with you. Not that they're not the best, but also that they don't have time. I know you guys are putting out a lot of fires, and something to sit down and write KBs and documentation is a lot. And Aaron says great features would definitely be great to have. Wonderful. Any other comments are all welcome. In the meantime, we're going to talk a little bit about prompt strategy. So for those that were on the AIT scripting webinar last month. Some of this will be familiar to you. For those that weren't, this is going to be exciting and maybe something a little bit new. This is specifically to talk about prompt strategy just in general, right? General guidelines, how to talk to AI, not necessarily native to Atera, but just in general. And it's relevant for those who have never used AI or scripting before, sorry, like AI scripting, and for those who want to brush up on their knowledge or kind of get better prompts and get better results. So that's really what this is about. We've split it up into three different verticals that we think are interesting and relevant, and then being firstly, be clear and specific, length and context, and time to think. So being clear and specific, I think that's kind of, answers itself, but the more clear and the more specific you are, of course, the better the answer or the better the output's going to be. The output really is determined by the input. So the more clear and specific you are, again, the better response you'll get from the AI. When it comes to length and context, you don't have to be shy about adding as much information as possible. I know a lot of us, myself included, when we're using AI, we want to just, put a quick thing in there. But the more, let's say, the longer it is, usually the more context the AI has, and the better, again, the output will be. So don't be shy of adding as much information as possible. Really utilize it to your benefit. Give the AI as much information that it can use to give you the best answer that you need. And lastly, time to think. So it's okay to let the AI think, right? It's okay to let it take its time, use all the length and context and specific details you've given, and kind of work out an answer that's best for you. The same would be if we had to ask, let's say, a person, if you had to turn to your colleague or you guys had to turn to each other in this webinar and ask a complex question. Obviously, you don't expect an answer within a second. It's not about like asking, what's the weather today? If you're asking a complex question, of course, you want the person next to you to take some time and think about it and give you the best answer. So the same is with AI, even though obviously all of us want it to be as quick as possible, it will still be faster than asking a person for these complex questions. So the time saving here is still twofold, because it's going to, let's say, cut down the time that it would take a human to do the same thing, and also will be able to solve this complex question pretty fast. So the processing and complexity time is shortened, and of course, it will always be shorter than a person doing it. So just a few things to remember on that front. Okay, so we have two script use cases that we've chosen for this webinar today. In the last one, I think there was about 5, but today we chose 2 specific ones. And we felt that these scripts would be useful for you guys on like the things we'd be using on a daily basis. Of course, the possibilities are endless for what you can really do with our script generator, but we wanted to specifically highlight these two. For those who've tested it before, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. I don't know if any of you have tried these kind of scripts. Maybe people who are in the webinar before have seen them, but it's just really interesting use cases that, again, you guys would be using on a daily basis. Um, and something else as well is that they really do show time saved or complexity broken down really easily and quickly, and makes you guys more efficient. So those are 2 other reasons why we've decided to do that. For smoothness and simplicity, we've recorded the flows. I just wanted to make sure everything was working as best as possible. I didn't want to, I wanted to be respectful of all of your guys' time and just make sure everything was nice and smooth. But we show you all the steps that go on for the whole process, both within Atera and outside of Atera, so you get to see the full picture. I'm going to just play that for you right now. So the first one we're doing is the Chrome installation and update. So a common use case here would be, maybe there's a bad version of the app that's been deployed. It could be Chrome, it could be Slack, it could be anything. It could be due to an end user downloading a bad version, or maybe some auto updates. I know with some software, the updates aren't always amazing. And then, auto updates really just don't encourage the best version. Or maybe there's a corrupted installation or corrupted file in the installation, any of those kind of things. So what can we do to address this problem? Well, one of the easiest ways and the most time efficient is to write a script. That being said, not all of us are scripting experts. Not all of us have the time, the patience, the energy to do that. So luckily for us, we have our script generator. So I'm going to play that for you guys and show you all the steps. So as you can see, we go into our script generator. We're going to give it a prompt. Again, this one's pretty concise, but it's also specific and it gives the details of what we need. We're going to create that script, and then we're going to go to the actual specific device that we need to run it on and run it. So here we can see that the script actually succeeded. We didn't even need to go to PowerShell to run it, but we can see that it worked. So that's great. The next one we're going to be doing is quite a fun one. It's script proofing, and we're using the specific use case of Slack installation. So this is something that I recently learned myself, and those who were on the AIT scripting webinar last month will remember we had Avi, who's our actual head of IT, join the call or join the webinar, and we saw how you could actually proofread a script, right? So you can take a script that you've made within Atera using our script generator, or take a script that's outside of Atera and actually refeed it into the AI script generator and check for any inaccuracies, or fix a script that's not fully functioning. So I'm going to show you that as well. Again, just to kind of explain the need here as well. So it could be maybe if anyone in the IT team needs to check a script before they're going to run it. And again, it can work for existing scripts. So that's really the beauty of it, that it's really unlimited in what it can do. Okay, so again, we're going to create a script. So we are asking for the specific use case to install Slack, and we're going to now test it out in PowerShell, and we get some kind of error. We're going to copy that and put that into the script generator, which you can see first. So you can drag down and make longer, and then you can paste the error in here. And our script editor or our script generator actually remodels or fixes the script that's not working, or where there's an error. And you'll see it does take a little bit of time because it's downloading heavier software. So that's, in this case, what's happening right now. Great. And now you can see it's pretty successful and it's worked. There you go. So I don't know if anyone knew about that before, or unless you were on the webinar last month, but feel free to let me know in the chat what you think. I know the people who saw it the first time in last month's webinar really liked it, as do I, because I really think the possibilities are endless, as well as Paul has a great a GIF underneath here. That's wonderful. Anyone else is free to add some comments in the chat. But again, like I was saying, the use cases are endless, because you can take existing scripts that were made outside of Terra and check them. You can take ones, obviously the ones that were made in Terra shouldn't have any problems, but if there's maybe a corruption in some part of the download, you can check for it, or some kind of error. But the other thing is as well, it really will enable maybe your more junior techs who want to get into scripting. It can allow them to proofread and double check their scripts before they deploy anywhere, which of course is a best practice and you should always do. I want to just kind of cover some takeaways over here, and then we'll get into any questions that are outstanding. But of course, as you guys all know, AI is rapidly transforming modern labor and technology landscape. It's everywhere. You can't kind of get away from it. We see it everywhere. And the thing is, those who get on board with it, will just be in a better position. The sooner you adopt it, basically, the better. As an innovation first company, Atera's AIT is a decade long in the making. So those, again, who were at the webinar on Tuesday will remember that we got our first patents for AI back in 2017. So it's not like AI, came into action and we decided to hop on the train. It's been something we've been intentionally investing in and exploring for a long time. So we're in a very good position to be, leaders in the AIT industry. Our goal is to supercharge IT with AI's autonomous and supportive capabilities. Again, like I've said, really make you guys more efficient, help you do your work faster and easier, and also take care of the, let's say, the lower quality but bigger quantity of requests that you get. A lot of the FAQs, maybe it's printer problems, maybe it's resetting passwords, all those kinds of things that maybe you guys don't want to do. And again, the ticket to KB flow that I showed you earlier is really helpful there as well. Okay, for businesses, AI adoption is no longer a matter of if, but when. That's, I think, kind of speaks for itself. And early movers will benefit from an exceptional boost in efficiency, accuracy, and productivity. Couldn't agree more. The sooner you get on board, the better. Okay, I think we can head over to Q&A. I'm going to see if there's any questions here that haven't been answered or any that we can revisit. Feel free to share any now as well in the Q&A section, or add any comments in the chat. Also, what have you guys thought about this webinar? Have you enjoyed it? Has it been interesting? It's been, like I said, a bit of a mix of the usual workshop combined with scripting. So I'm curious how you guys have found it. I'm just looking here if there's any unanswered questions. It seems like none. Usually we have a very chatty group. I want to make sure everyone's fully on board and has any questions, concerns, thoughts. I'll give it another minute or so for you guys to just add anything else. Great. So Sam says, are the webinars posted anywhere? Where could we see previous ones that we've missed? Great question. I'm actually going to send that to you now. We have all of our webinars saved and uploaded on demand. So they're all recorded, saved, and then uploaded so you can watch them. I'm adding this link in the chat right now so that you guys are able to follow along. That should work for you. Karen and Chris, thanks for your comments. Very informative. Happy to hear. Happy to have you joining us. If there's any other questions, I'm just going to open. Great, we have some more here. So Brian says, are some of these features we saw today with the Copilot close to being available to all? I believe so. I need to get a double check on the time frame, but I believe that they're in the process of being released. I need to just double check if it's first to design partners and then to everyone where we stand there. But it's close enough that I can show it to you guys and get you excited. So I'll need to double check, but really good question, Brian. Great, Karen, if you don't mind sending, I'm just going to put my email again here in the chat. For anyone who wants to be added to the Design Partner Program, feel free to send me an email. Just make sure you include that it's for design partners. And also just another reiteration of that is that we're so happy to add people to the waitlist and get you guys eventually on the Design Partner Program. But we want customers who are going to be able to give us feedback, because that really helps us adapt, refine, tune the product and make sure it's as best as it can be. So just have that in mind if you're interested. Sean says it's his first webinar and it's been easy to follow along and good info. Well, Sean, big welcome to your Atera webinar journey. We hope to see you again. We hope to have you coming back. We do have a lot of recurring attendees for these webinars and we have a great community around it. So I hope you'll be back with us next time. Aaron, thank you for your great comments. I will say Aaron is also one of our recurring guests, so it's always lovely to have you with us. Any other questions? Let's see. It seems like not. So I'm happy to give you guys some time back. I'm sure all of you are very busy and have taken out some time of your day to join us, which we're so happy to have you. Before we actually sign off, one last thing, if you guys don't mind, I'm going to just launch our survey and just get your guys' feedback. Again, this really helps us refine these webinars, make sure they're interesting and relevant to you. As I mentioned, the scripting webinar was something that was highly requested from feedback from all of you guys who join us. So the more insight and information we get from you, the better we can tailor these webinars to what you're interested in about hearing and looking to see. So I would love to hear from you guys. Shouldn't take more than a minute, and we'll all be on this session together, so you're not alone doing it. While we're doing that, I will just close up in the meantime and just thank you all for joining. Like I said, I know you guys have very busy schedules and joining. I mean, we have such a wide variety of attendees today. So whether you're joining in the morning, in the middle of the day, or staying up in your evening to join, we really appreciate it. And we love having this very supportive community of our AI webinar attendees. I would also just like to thank Puz and Sarah, who were doing an amazing job in the QA. And answering all of your questions and for being with us. And I'm happy to give you guys back your time. So feel free just to finish up the survey and we will see you at the next webinar. Bye, everybody.